Good evening. Tonight on Boys to Men, Their Moms in Society, we'll be discussing a mother's role. And I will be your host, Kelly Thomas, and we'll also have a guest host. But before we get started, let's give a shout out to our sponsor, Anchor. Hey, community. It's Kelly Thomas here. I want to take a moment and give a shout out to our sponsor, Anchor. Anchor is one of the easiest ways to make a podcast. If you haven't heard about them, let me tell you a little bit. First of all, Anchor is free. It is a free service. They also offer creation tools within the app or on the website that allow you to record and edit your own podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you. You're going to be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more platforms. And do you want to make some money? You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. You've got everything you need to make a podcast in one place. All you have to do is download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Again, anchor.fm. Hey, Village. Welcome to Boys to Men, Their Moms, and Society. In this episode, we're going to discuss a mother's role in her son's life and the role that she plays in his transition into manhood. And tonight we have a guest host. Guest host, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hello. I am Marquise, aka the Mama's Boy, and aka the reason for this podcast.
You've been waiting on this, haven't you?
Yeah.
I understand. We got a lot to cover tonight. And I'm just going to start it off with Marquise. Why don't you tell me what you think a mother's role is when you guys are in your younger ages, when you're young men and between the ages of maybe 8 and 15?
It's a little difficult to answer only because the role my mother played, which is you, is totally different than some other son's or kid's life. You played both roles, so what I expected is what I saw and what I was taught. But from
Did it?
what I see on TV, it's the care, the nurturing, the basically the spoiling that I did get. That's why I consider myself a mama's boy. So it's
But,
hard for me to really answer that question. I believe
well,
I got was what was should be what expected as a role was, but you had to play another role as well. So my scene is different.
do you think my role hindered or helped?
Um, Now that little hard question there.
That's what we're about, that hard questioning.
Is um hindered in the fact that I typically, well, I can say that I honestly don't know what to consider a father part, what he would have did different to what you did. Only to say that because a man technically is born to teach and lead his son if he had one. That protector, that provider. Even though you played the same role, a man knows what a man is supposed to be or how to teach a man to become a man. A woman is raised to know what a woman does, but they see what men do. So you had to see and teach instead of being the man and being there. So with you playing both roles, I believe I got probably 70% woman, and somehow you threw in 30% man.
Look, I'm going to have to disagree with you on that one because, and only because I, I, I disagree because I don't think that in an if he nurtures, if a father nurtures and shows a young man, his son, how a man is supposed to develop into himself. Okay, so does he not do the same for his daughter? Is he going to teach him differently? I know there are some things that, you know, that are different in regards to male and females. Don't get me wrong, in children. However, the same morals and ethics that a father instills in his son, should he not be instilling in his daughter also? And if the maternal figure is ethically and morally um, on the right side, what's the difference? What is the difference?
No difference, but I can say this: with me being a father of four daughters, I'm more, I'm more sensitive to things. I'm more girlying things up for them. I'm more putting myself to a point where they're not growing up to be tough men, like how I would raise a son to be tough. I'm not raising my daughters. It'll be hard to. I want them to see a tough side and be able to protect themselves, so they will get that protecting thing from me. But it's different. Raising girls, it's with me having to teach them. It's more of a, this is how you protect yourself. This is what you look out from other men. This is so basically, I'm teaching them the experience that I even done or I've seen done from other men to women. I'm more of a, this is the world. You're going to have to protect yourself from this instead of what a man would have to learn to protect himself from. Like, not to say you didn't because you were one tough, one tough mother. I got what I needed, but I will say this: I'm probably more sensitive and emotional more than other men because I am raised by a woman my whole life. Regardless who else joined in, I was raised by a woman. I looked after my mother. I seen what you did. Then I didn't have that father figure to see what he did or what his father taught him or and so forth. So I didn't get what he would have taught me. So I had to get what my mother knew from of a man and what she probably expected from a man, not what an actual man probably does.
Well, I'm gonna halfway agree with you on that. Probably what I expected from men, but for those of you that don't know my story, my father was not in my life after I was 9 years old. I found him when I was 14, and we developed a relationship. But over the years, it dwindled. You know, he was never there. He didn't teach me anything. Everything I learned at the foot of my mother and the life of hard knocks. So I guess I saw my role as different because your father figure or your father was not there to
Yeah,
participate. so so what I figured my role as a mom was, especially since I was raising four sons, you have to understand that when you're a mother and you do have sons, there are certain things in this world, and you don't have to be a man to know that there are certain things in this world that you just have to teach your children, whether male or female. You have to teach them to look out for. You have to teach them um, the things that'll carry them through life with strength, whether you're a female or male. And I guess my fill-in moments. That's what I call um, my father moments, fill-in moments, because I had to cover things that most men are according to society is supposed to teach his son. You know, uh, I'm gonna get real here, people, because I had four sons. I had four sons I had to raise, so I couldn't be squeamish. I had to let them know that they can come tell me anything, anything. So yes, I was responsible for asking about the wet dreams and all that. I know they were embarrassed. I wasn't embarrassed because hey, I was the parent at that time, both paternal and maternal. So I was asking and explaining sex and fighting with them in
See,
the
and
in
that
the
right there,
street.
that would have been a totally different conversation with a man. So it's a lot that we had to still hold back because you're our mother, and it it just was not right having that conversation at all.
And it probably look, I will put myself and the four of you, I will put myself in your shoes. I can imagine that was very uncomfortable discussing that with your mother. But I had to make sure that I was covering, or at least trying to, as you stated earlier, trying to cover what I felt was missing, what I felt was missing. And in that, I'm like, well, watching you guys grow into your teenage years and young men, and I was like, well, it doesn't only shape you all. It really doesn't. When you're a single mother, and no matter if you remarried or whatever the circumstance is, some boys, some males just attach themselves to their mom, whether a father is in the home or not. And it doesn't only shape you all, it also shapes us females. At least I can speak for me. I was shaped a different way raising you four. You know, I became that tough mom that you spoke of
Oh yeah,
earlier. I was the you're right. I had to be that no nonsense. Look out for you all, show you what's right and wrong, and when you wrong, correct your wrong because the world is going to correct your wrong, and they're not going to correct your wrong the way I
and I will
correct it.
say this: I will say this: the role that you played, regardless if it was my mother or fill-in parts, you we got. I would say I got the best of what I was supposed to get. I am the most probably. I'm very respectful. I yes, ma'am. Especially to especially the women. Period. Like older women, people that especially reminds me of my mother. I'm yes, ma'am, and I'm very respectful. I do hate the sensitive part that I picked up because that's to me that's unmanlike. Yes, I know people are supposed
Yeah, but doesn't that lead to compassion of others?
the sensitive part. I mean, I don't mind being
Yes.
sensitive, but you were tough. You were tough. You were very tough. But I think if I would have had a solid father figure, someone that was there and showed his toughness, and I got to understand and been around it, I would have been more tougher than like now. I'm tough when I'm angry. I'm tough when I'm showing emotions, which I'm a very happy person. Everybody knows that. But the way I handle things, you can tell that there's a little bit of sensitivity that caused the way I handle certain things.
Okay, then what about your mom? Because I'm not sensitive. I am, but I'm not. If that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? I'm less emotional, more sensitive. To me, those are two different things. Emotional, you're reacting emotionally to everything or to what you perceive to be this big something or other. So you're reacting emotionally. um, I am sensitive to certain things, but how I receive them and how I react to them are two different things. I pray. So, in saying that you're sensitive, I don't think that's a bad thing because I do believe that it leads to compassion of others. Now, that should be a human thing, not a male and female
Not a
thing.
okay, but that goes into the whole male and female subject. But men are pictured as tough, protector, provider. They're supposed to be the alpha. They're supposed to be this and that's society's image. Yeah,
Society's
so
norm.
when that's all you see and don't have the real to actually show you what a man is, you take from what is supposed to be or for what you see instead of what you're getting. Because no matter what, as we grew up, we realized, my mom is a woman. She don't understand what men are going through. She that whole thing just builds into your head as you grow up, period, because you're our mother. We now have this different type of respect for you, especially that you did play in both roles. So it's all right, I got to pick what these people are doing on TV. I got to see what a father looks like on there. And since this is the society look, I don't have that. I don't see that part of me because I did not have a father figure to sit there and show me how to be a man. I
So, what determined your man and man? What exactly did you pull? If if you've accepted what I gave you, and uh, if you've inhaled it and took it all in and able to move around a little with that, what did you bring into yourself to make your man, especially during the teenage years?
I don't know. I was lost in my teenage years. I was trying to find myself because I had no man to look up to be. So it took longer to find who I was as a man or as a young man because I didn't have no one like a man to look up to. I saw how hard you.
Well, you fake the funk pretty
You
good.
say who?
You fake the funk pretty good.
What I did was, since I didn't have one, I channeled what you did and put society. I basically merged them both together. I looked what I'm supposed to be on TV. I tried to figure it out from there. But what I seen you do as a mother for four boys, I'm like, what other man that I've seen around the neighborhood or fathers that I've heard that wasn't big, what other man could do what you did? Plus, we lived the lifestyle we lived. So I took what you because you were doing it all. You were smart. You laid down for nothing. You never took no for an answer. You did what you had to do. So that's what I started to admire more than trying to figure out what type of man I'm supposed to be. I knew somehow I'll figure that out as I got older. But the path that you laid was going to get me more successful and better in my life, other than trying to figure out my manhood. So at 30 years old, it's still, yeah, I feel like I'm a man because now I'm able to take what my mother taught me plus what I want to see other men do and start building from there.
Look at there. Look what I raised, people. Look what I raised. And that is exactly what I want to hear. I need to understand because, as a female and you're raising your sons, you're feeding them, you're clothing them, you're loving them, and you're encouraging them to go out in the world, spread their wings, and go get them. That's basically what it is. Go get them. And when you see them doing that, especially when you're teenagers, you kind of what I accused you of earlier, faking the funk. You know what I'm saying? Because if my four sons had any issues during that time, I was oblivious. Um, Now later on the years, I have to get, I have to be real. Later on in the years, I noticed. some things. And ladies, don't get mad at me, but I did notice um, some of my characteristics um, in a couple of my sons, and it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder. It makes me wonder um, what type of influence I had, and if that influence was positive. I see them striving. I see them working hard. I see them going for uh, reaching their goals. I see them as married men, fathers. Um, I see them every day going out into this world, but I also know there's underlying feelings in regards to their man. And as Marquis stated earlier in the program, he is the reason for this, you know, because we have these talks and they get really deep, and I enjoy talking to him. And it's my understanding that I'm not understanding. And that is the gist of this podcast. I want to understand because I have four men of mine that are in their early 30s and they still got a whole way to go. And I want them to be able to go with confidence and be secure in
And not to cut you
themselves.
off, you said something
Be
that that wonder part. That's that's what I'm left with. That because I'm not balanced of mother and father. I'm just mother. There's a wonder of what kind of man would I have been if my father was around. So that there causes a lot of issues.
But how much of a difference do you think
It'll
it
be
would
two
have
different
made?
personalities
Because
I would have learned.
I think
Two
it's
different ways
influence.
of thinking I would have
Well,
learned
that's true.
instead of just one mindset. Like this
But do
is
you
what I
think?
learned from my mom. This is what I watched my mama do. Without that other
Mm,
person, I wouldn't have never. I won't
understandable.
like. I'm building myself to be a man that I would have expected my father to be because I don't have him to basically feed off of. He wasn't there for me to go ahead and say, all right, yeah, my father used to do this. I'm going to teach my kid. I don't have that. I got my mama did this. My mama did that. So the man part, now I have to sit here and be totally basically what you've taught us men do, what you said a man shouldn't do, what a man should do. I'm going off of what you're saying. So now I have to figure out myself as, all right, now this is the type of man I want to be. I want to do this. I want to do this, but I'm implicating everything that my mother taught me. That way I stay respectful. I become this gentleman that I'm basically, for some reason, the woman can teach a man how to be a better gentleman than I've seen a man to be. Because a woman know to basically the way I have my wife, like who she is, she respects who I am because of what my mother taught me how to treat a woman. And that part is being part of a gentleman. So for some reason, I always felt like I don't know if I would be this guy that I am going on 5 years married if I didn't go completely of what my mother taught me how to treat a woman. So there's a whole lot into this whole mother role and father role that I don't know which part I would have took regardless because what you taught me, I am very doing pretty good in my life. I'm so there's I don't think it's a more of a complaint and just more wonder than anything. I wonder what else I could have learned from a separate person, different personality, like of who he was or what his past and his family side. I don't know that part. So when I get characteristics that I'm like, all right, that's not my mama. It's got to be him. I don't know if all right, this being me being a man, or is this just something from his type of gene or his characteristics that I'm picking up. So I don't know. It's just all wonder.
Huh. So are you pulling for society at all? Are you pulling from society at all to discover your man, or are you just looking at your parent and what you know of
I
the
think
males
now I'm
that you've
just
encountered?
looking at. I don't think it's society anymore because I realize the the manhood and fatherhood of society runs on who you are as a person and your personality. Because some people are only providers. Some
Ain't that
people
the truth?
cannot protect their family. Some people are protectors and providers. I want to be a protector, provider, and the one. I just want to be that person. So I know what I want to be. So I have to build
Speak,
myself
son.
now to be something that you were, but man-like, I guess.
I'm about to flip the script on you because you're coming into your man and you're still molding yourself and training yourself to do this and things like that and development. That's what it is, development. So in training your man, you don't have any sons. So if the roles are reversed, what is you what are you what as a father, how are you going to treat your girls? What do you teach your girls as a man that is still coming into his
Um,
man?
to be honest, the only thing I've been teaching them is everything you taught me. It's mainly
Aw.
just me. What I throw in as a man is what they should look for towards another man, or what they shouldn't allow a man to do. I'm more doing that more right now because they're only 11 and 9 years old. So it's really not much I can do but be that 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 dad girl. My girls make me more sensitive than anything. Make me more. I'm more soft when it comes to my kids with girls than I think I would have been with a boy. I would have taught him how to be tough and to be there and like it's
But why? Why does the male have to be tough? Why do Because in this day and age, honestly, the females uh females get the same type uh of attraction of bad and good that the males get. There's really, and just in my opinion, there's really no
it's
difference of the
not, but it's
treatment
also based
nowadays.
on how and where you're raised. My kids, like us, I didn't see any bad side. We got whatever we want. We were spoiled. I ain't gonna lie on that. It was no struggle. So
But is that denial? What was I living in the land of denial? Was I protecting you all from things that I should not have been protecting you from? I mean, I know plenty of times when trouble came to our door, I'm front and center with you all because, like I said, it shaped me also. I was already who I was going to be. However, I had those four sons that I felt I needed to protect because there was no father figure around. And in protecting that, I wore a different type of armor. And you best believe it was armor because I had four sons, because of the things that go along with raising men. You know, Uh, how many times when you guys were in a fight that I was out there making sure that no one else jumped in? You're going to
yeah, see,
earn your
and that's
respect
something
out
that
here.
a
You know what
father
I'm
would
saying?
have. So that's why I'll always say no complaints at all of how I was raised because we did get that. We did get that. You go back out there, you're gonna fight. Ain't no running. You taught us morals when it come to fighting. Like that was us. You don't hit first. You only protect yourself. We learned a lot that
Oh.
a lot of young boys probably learned from their father as well. It's just it came from a woman. Where is that man that was supposed to do this, and how would have went about it?
Child, you talking about a whole other different subject on that one.
That's what I'm saying.
The
So
where was
it's
that man?
it's a
That
lot that
that's a
goes
different.
into that role because it always comes down to that wonder. It's what could it been? My mother did her role, but if I did have that father figure or whatever, how different would your role would have been? you wouldn't have had to probably do as much.
Yeah, but is it fair or is it right to blame the absence of a father on the behavior
Oh yeah,
of an adult male?
because still who? Because still
You
who
think that's
is?
you think that's right?
You're still just a woman, not taking away from that.
Wait,
You're
wait,
still
wait.
the
Just a
woman
woman?
of the. You're still my mother. You're not my father at all. What that father figure is I don't know. I think I this is one of those questions that just I think it's self answered and self understood because certain people
Mm.
can be like, I never had a father figure and my mother did all this, but there's still hidden things inside this man that he doesn't like because like you said, we have traits of a woman in us because that's what we grew up with. Yeah, you did video games, you played basketball with us, you boxed with us, you did all that, but it's still from a woman. There's no that shape of dang, if do I get attitudes this fast because I've been raised with my mama? Do I get this because I was raised by my mama? Like it's there's no what did I learn from being from a man? I'm being a man because I was raised by a woman.
Okay, look. Okay, then let me ask you this because that leads off into two different types of conversation. If you ask me, I'm like, okay, so how much onus is on the male for the man that he becomes? Because look, you saying after a certain this is my belief. Everybody in the world may not believe this, but your parents are responsible for raising you up until a certain point in your life. You know, we're always there to help by your side. You ever need me, I'm always there. However, we are responsible for raising you up to a certain point. And if we did a good or bad job, you know, time will tell. But also, after a certain age, um, that male is fully capable of making his own
But okay,
decisions.
what's the age
His
range
own
are we
decisions.
talking? Because
So if you feel well, in regards to what things you want
see,
to drop and
and
what
that I
things you
understand,
want to
but then you gotta
discover.
look at it like this. If we're talking from what you had to raise, because we're basically not grown up until we're at least 18 or 21. So by the time you're 18 or 21, you got to look at it. We're already made. Our personalities made. Our innards are made because that's 18 years of being taught by someone. So now these next 10 years that I had to go through is like you said, what to drop, what to pick up, what to change, what can I change about myself now. But that that part, that whole 18 years will never be forgotten. So that's already made who I that's my character. Now I'm trying to change my character. So now I'm doing a lot of struggling because my character is already made and I got to drop things that's norm to me.
So as a man and not a human, because I drop things all the time that something I may have picked up, a bad habit, I gotta drop it, or something that, you know, maybe I've done for the last 20 years and I'm oblivious to it, but people pointed out to me that, you know, on this occasion you do this, and if more than one person tell me that, you know how they say, if more than one person tell you that, you know, you should listen, this, that, and the other. So does that play a role? Does that play a role? How happy and or upset you are with what you're becoming or who you're
Does it play
becoming?
a role? I'm not sure. I just
Hmm.
you go ahead.
I think I think that I just if I knew it, okay, so
Mm-hmm.
if the onus is on you, okay, so how much of is it? How much is it on you? How much responsibility? If you had to put a percentage out there, what would be the percentage of onus do you think it would be on you to become that man that you want, coupled with all the rest of the stuff? Because I believe a mother never stops
At this
teaching
age
her children.
now,
I
I
never
think
stopped
by
learning from
anybody
mine.
by the time you're
You know what I'm
30 and
saying?
you're trying to figure, it's 100% on you. It's on me now to figure out
Mm, I
what
agree.
what characteristics to keep, what traits to keep, what emotions, and what how am I supposed to. It's now on me to figure out this man that I'm supposed to be. But there's still those struggles with, am I still doing this because this is how I'm taught? Which I'm have no issue doing that, due to the fact that I'm taught. I
Mm,
was taught well. I was taught great. Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate
I
that.
was raised well, and there's no, like I said, I have no issue with how that your role is just, it'll always come back to that word wonder. That it's just a wonder. But now I don't wonder because I know where I am in life. It's just now to be, let's be this man that either I would respect myself or that I know others would respect. It's no longer of who I was supposed to be or who I could have been if I had a father figure. It's take what I had and I learned and make a man out of it.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Basically, what they
Yep.
say, take lemons and make lemonade out of them. Yeah,
You know
I'm
what?
messing up
Just
some
sitting
things
here
like
and
you
finishing
do.
that last statement, I realized the role of a mother is the exact same as a role of a man or a father. It's to teach, it's to better, regardless if one is there or two is there. It's to teach and make your son or your child better or equal to what you've done. And I know most parents shoot for better. So it's, there's no difference in
Better.
who that person was. It's more just characteristic traits or just who you are as a person, your personality.
You know what? Listening to you say that, I love your man. I ask on occasion of young men, what is your man? I understand your man, Marquise. Uh, I enjoy watching your man. Um, I enjoy you trying to figure it out. I enjoy trying to help you figure it out, and again, this podcast was built around uh, our conversations and me being just plainly inquisitive. um, I love men and I want to see them be great. I've had several bonus sons that I want to see be great. I want to see you raise beautiful children and keep our village strong. And in closing, I want to say I enjoyed my role as a mother of four sons. There is no greater gift
Yeah.
than my four sons. And in saying that, I am going to close out. And Marquise, I want to just say that I really enjoyed our conversation. And if you guys are just joining us, you'll be able to catch this on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and several other platforms. And we were discussing a mother's role in her son's transition to manhood. And next week, well, episode 3, we're going to touch on outside
Yes, ma'am.
influences. Mr. Marquise Richardson,
It was
joining
great.
me
It was
tonight.
great. It was the
I enjoyed our conversation. I agree. I agree. I think
yes,
I'll
man.
be
I'll
bringing you
be
back several more times if you're willing. Well, Village, it's been lovely. You all have a good evening. Talk at you later.
Vamonos.
Have a good night. Hey, Village. I have a segment that we're going to be recording on Wednesday nights, and I call it SM and Q's. Share messages and questions. Just go to the main page, and down at the bottom, you'll see a message bubble. Send me a message or ask me a question to discuss on the air. Every Wednesday night, SM and Q's. Good night, Village.